This video will show you how to reverse a completed sales order. Now, why would you want to do this? Perhaps it's a case of a customer changing their mind about their order before or during delivery. Perhaps your driver is out for delivery and the customer can only take a portion of the shipment. Or perhaps you have made errors on your existing sales order, such as incorrect quantities, pricing, or products, and you would need to reverse the sales order. The aim of the reversal would be to ensure that you return the stock to its original levels before the sale and to cancel out any invoiced amounts. In order to avoid these scenarios, you could implement the best practice that sales orders are to remain in the placed status and invoices can be sent to the customer but not completed until the driver is back from delivery. You could handle your shipments in a similar fashion too. Nevertheless, let's assume that the changes or mistakes have already occurred. So let's look at a few scenarios for reversing your sales order, namely, where you have no completed invoice or shipments, where you have a completed invoice and shipments, where you have completed the invoice but not yet completed the shipment, where you have completed the shipment but you have not yet invoiced the customer. And then we will also look at scenarios where the sales order originated from your e-commerce or point of sale integration. Let's look at our first scenario for sales order 609. Here, the sales order is still in the parked status, but you realize you have made a mistake. For example, you've put in the incorrect quantity. In this case, because the sales order is not yet completed, you still have the opportunity to make changes on the sales order, so you can easily amend the quantity field. Alternatively, if you wanted to create a brand new sales order to replace this one, you can use the delete button on the bottom right-hand side of the page. You should then see a confirmation message that it has been deleted and the status of the sales order will change to deleted. Remember, however, that we were only able to make changes or delete the sales order because there were no open or dispatched shipments or any open or completed invoices on that sales order. The next scenario, which we can see on sales order 616. This time, you have a sales order and we can see here that the shipment has already been dispatched and the invoice has already been completed. To reverse the sales order, you can create a credit note. Now, because the goods were shipped out for this order, you can select the return checkbox to increase the stock on hand. This would effectively cancel out the shipment. You would then also need to ensure that you physically have the goods back so that you don't overstate your stock on hand. The return checkbox will tell Unleashed to create a stock journal that will be sent to your accounting system. A credit will also be sent to your accounting system. This will cancel out the invoice previously sent during the sales process. The goods have been invoiced, therefore the credit price will return the invoiced amount. Please note that the completed sales order will still, however, exist in Unleashed. Let's now look at an example where you have created a sales order and dispatched the shipment, but you have not yet created the invoice. Looking at sales order 618 for my example, you can see that we have dispatched the shipment, but we have not yet created an invoice. We already know that we will not be able to delete this transaction, so instead we would want to create a credit. We know, however, that we need an invoice number in order to create the credit. So the first step is to complete the sales order so that the invoice is generated. So let's do that for our example here. I'm just going to copy that invoice number and then we can create the credit. Again, be sure to select the return checkbox for all the order lines that were on the sales order. We can then go ahead and complete the credit note. Again, by doing this, the shipments and invoices have effectively been cancelled. Please note, however, that the completed sales order will still remain in Unleashed. Let's now look at an example where you have created a sales order and completed the invoice, but you have not yet dispatched anything. For example, you may realize that you are not able to supply those goods to the customer. So let's look at sales order 619 for my example. So here you can see that the invoice has already been completed, but the shipment has not yet been dispatched. If we have a look at the shipment, we can see that we wanted to be able to dispatch the 24 products that the customer had ordered, but we didn't have any stock on hand. The first thing we need to do here is to create a stock adjustment for those outstanding products so that we can complete the shipment. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'll increase our stock by the 24 units and I'll leave the value at 0 as we are only adjusting quantity in this example. And then I can go back and dispatch that shipment. By doing this, we are removing that stock, so our stock levels will return to what they were before the sales order. We can then create a credit for the value of the stock that has been invoiced. There is no need to select the return checkbox here, as the sales order has already been rectified. Once again, the completed sales order will then remain in the system. Let's look at the scenarios where your sales order originated from an e-commerce or point-of-sale platform that you are integrated with. You will note here that the credits in those systems are not automatically sent to Unleashed, so there is some additional action that is required. For Vend, if you have voided or returned a sale in Vend, and you would do this by way of entering a negative sale in Vend, you would need to create a stock adjustment in Unleashed to reflect the changes in Vend. The stock adjustment will then send a journal to your accounting software. A credit will also be passed from Vend to your accounting software. Similarly for Shopify, if you have credited a sale in Shopify, you would then need to create a stock adjustment in Unleashed to reflect those changes. The stock adjustment again will send a journal to your accounting software, and a credit will be passed from Shopify to your accounting software. For Magento, when you return or credit the sale in Magento, this again will not be passed to Unleashed. You would therefore need to create a credit directly in Unleashed to ensure that your stock on hand is correct. Unleashed will then pass a stock journal as well as a credit to your accounting software. For more information on credits, remember to check the Unleashed help files. Thank you for watching the How to Reverse a Completed Sales Order video.